Hi everyone, welcome to another Logos Circle online. We get straight into it. We've got some updates today from Girl from the Porto Circle, Amelia from Lisbon. We have M, who's running the Espanol circles, as well as getting involved in the European continent. And we have Chris, who's bringing us updates from the very first Brussels circle as well. So, do you want to kick it off, Sterling? Do we have you, Sterling?
Oh, there we go. My bad. I was muted. I was going off on a rampage. Okay, thanks again, Logos, for all the information and the updates. We have a few folks here who are going to be providing updates with regard to circles. We are pressing forward enthusiastically. A lot happening on the ground. A lot of good news, and of course, we're going to continue pushing the movement forward. I love it so much. Okay, so we have a few folks up here. Let's go ahead and get started with the disclaimers. Everybody in this space, I think you guys already know that any ideas, thoughts, philosophies, aberrant opinions that we share are not affiliated with the Logos brand or identity. If we happen to talk about any kind of project, none of this is to be taken, nothing we say is to be taken as financial advice, okay? You ape or YOLO into shit coins at your own peril. Indeed. Okay. The other piece here is this is a community space. The intention for these logo circles, aside from the fact that we want to provide relevant and timely updates with what's happening in the field in terms of grassroots activations and organizing, is that we can come up here and talk about the issues that are most impactful and the most pressing and the most important for each of us and that have the most emotional salience. So don't hesitate to ask to come up and chat. Maybe these discussions that we have also inspire you to boot up your own circle, to consider bringing agency back to your own local communities, and to actively take action and have an impact in the world, right? That's a huge part of what we're working on here. And of course, ultimately, we do want to tie what we're doing back into the technology, the decentralized technology stack that Logos engineers and developers are working tirelessly to push out and to deploy. All right, so cool. We'll go ahead and get started with the updates. First, this is the general flow of these circles, my friends. We'll do the updates. We have quite a few today. But in between the updates, we can also have conversation. There's nothing wrong. There's no strict format to how this flows. But then we can just get into whatever kind of conversation that you guys want to have, right? We can kind of take it whatever direction you want. There's no strict format to this. It is an ongoing conversation aside from the updates. Cool. So, as I typically say, who wants to be first on the chopping block to provide the updates? We have so many. I feel like I usually just lay Amelia's head down on the chopping block and we get going because she usually has some of the most relevant or important updates to start with. And so there you are, chopping block it is.
Yeah, getting chopped again. Nice. I will take it. Okay, so actually, I don't have too many updates specifically from the Lisbon Circle to share today. I have been very, very busy helping to coordinate getting all of our Logos stewards to Parallel Society that's happening next month here in Lisbon. So a lot of coordinating, going there, helping get out visa letters, and yeah, organizing everyone's travel. I appreciate we didn't manage to give everyone a huge time in advance to prepare for everything. So really, that's what I've been kind of focused on this week. But I have some very exciting updates for new circles popping up. We have three very significant, important cities that will be coming online in the next month. The first is Cape Town. So Muriel, who joined our space last week, who I think you met at Edge City, Sterling, came and did the onboarding call, and she will be starting a circle herself in Cape Town. So I think that's amazing. The first circle in South Africa, the first circle really that south of Africa as a continent too. So yeah, very, very excited to have her on board. I think she brings a very interesting background of kind of coming from community building spaces around global activism and also kind of local community work. And yeah, I guess I won't share too much about what she's been doing there in her city, but I think she's going to be a huge, huge asset. So we're super excited to welcome Muriel as the new steward. The second city is Amsterdam. So the Amsterdam Circle is going to be led by Abel, stewarded by Abel. Abel is he's actually in the nightlife scene in Amsterdam, so he runs a few kind of underground club nights and clubs, and is super tapped into kind of the cultural and activist side of the city. And he has a friend who's going to come on and co-steward with him from the start, who they're building. Interestingly, it's an offline mesh network for communication. So if the internet ever went out, which I mean, this happened in Portugal last year. We had no internet, we had no electricity at all for over a day. So they're building this, yeah, offline communications network, which maybe it's going to use Logos Communications. Maybe that will become their winnable issue. Who knows? And they have a really, really cool venue also, which is kind of a community radio station, community hub. So yeah, super excited to see Amsterdam coming online. And the final circle is New York City. So it's been a while. We've been trying to find a steward who can lead in New York for a while and help get that circle set up. So Denise is going to be starting that circle. She's only kind of living part-time in New York, so she's looking for a permanent co-steward to help her out for the time she's not in New York. And Denise has a background in pop-up city and pop-up village research, so she has a lot of kind of friends and knowledge in the space. She was also already coming to Parallel Society with her partner at the pop-up village research and the Soul Logos Circle steward Jimmy, to come and do some work with the various pop-up villages that are presenting at Parallel Society and will be there. So yeah, very excited to see these three circles come online. And I think it's, yeah, three amazing new kind of stewards. Hopefully join us soon on this circle and you'll be able to meet them.
Nice. Thanks, Amelia, so much for your updates there, my friend. It looks like, and this is just a testament to how rapidly we're growing and evolving this movement. So, and definitely glad to hear Muriel is 100% on board and booting up in Cape Town. Amazing. All right. So, who wants to go next? We have probably a chair. Chair is used to it, but we do have Chris raising his hand. So, Chris, if you wanna go ahead and chat about Brussels, my friend, welcome to the stage.
Hey, yeah, I hope it's okay. I'm skipping in front of chair, but I'm just very excited to, yeah, finally talk on this logo stage. I've been listening to a lot of the chats here. I'm very happy to be here today, both as like, yeah, a contributor of logos, but also as yeah, organizer of a Blitz Circle. We organized this in Brussels in the context of FOSDEM, which is a huge event that attracts open source developers from around the world, mostly from Europe, I assume, but it's a huge event in Brussels. And so in this context, we decided to organize a circle in the Commons Hub in Brussels, of which I'm also part. So like I'm a volunteer there. So it was like really nice to be able to combine a number of my favorite things together. So I could talk for an hour about this, Sterling, so like do interrupt me if I'm going too long. It was very interesting. So yeah, I definitely have a thing that maybe could be like a topic if we have time to go into a little bit more. There was definitely a lot of questions. There were definitely a lot of questions that came up. And I talked about this with Amelia, and I think I have the advantage that I know a lot of the people who came to the circle, and so they were talking very directly to me. They were very blunt and like with their skepticism, with their criticism, with their questions, which is great for us, of course, because then also as Logos we can look into this, we can make our processes better and figure out how we can be of service to the community. So that's definitely the goal here. So maybe just before I go into the skepticism and these questions that came up, we had 16 attendees. Originally we had 24 attendees, but as it goes, some people don't show up. But it was a wide variety of profiles, but I would say like a mix of technical people and people who are who are already in the volunteering space. Actually, there were quite some volunteers from the Commons Hub too. So yeah, what to say? Maybe first, like, yeah, I'll go into this in when I gave the introduction about like what Logos is. There were some challenges, and that's the thing I would like to maybe get into at the end, or like interrupt me if you want to, of course. But the question was, the technical people in the room who are also like crypto experience, they had questions about how we will be able to scale Logos. So they were questioning, okay, like, so Logos is going to be like not an EVM. So how will we be able to scale this? So that was a big question. They had questions about interoperability. So that was one that came back a few times. So I did get more feedback on this, and I know that the response that I got from the team through Amelia is that we can do EVM equivalent execution through the sovereign zones that will be part of the blockchain solutions that we are building. So EVM zones process transactions and push data to the blockchain, so it will not be directly on the base layer. But so it is possible, it can be made EVM compatible, but that was definitely a worry that the more technical profiles in the room had, like, will we be able to scale this? So that was one element that came up. Another one that came up was that, yes, they're very aligned. All the people there loved everything that Logos wants to bring into the world, but they had also questions on if we will be able, as an organization, if we will be able to really support the wide range of topics that we want to support. Because yeah, we want to support any initiative that brings sovereignty back into the world, that really creates parallel societies. And they were like, oh, but this is pretty broad. Like, will Logos be able to support worldwide initiatives that are so wide? And what is the link with the more privacy focused tech that you're building? So I definitely went into the details and like how we do believe that that we can support this, that we really are not just about building privacy focused techs, that we really want to build autonomous circles where we build long-term infrastructure for project rather than just a quick play, and that privacy, but especially also sovereignty, is like one of our core design principles, and that we can support with building, well, with giving expertise, and that we're not, of course, going to build everything for everyone, but we will be supporting this build out of solutions. So it was a very, I would say, like, not a heated discussion, but a very interesting discussion with quite some challenges from the get-go. And that was really nice to see, because it showed that there was a lot of energy in the room. So then, yeah, what else can I say? I guess like there were a lot of proposals for winnable issues. So for people who have not listened to a Logos circle before, or Logos meetup here before, the winnable issues are very concrete things that we want to select as an issue that as a community we can build around. So I kind of, so there's a post on that we can maybe also share, or that I can share on the forum. And so the first one there's two topics I would say. One is digital tools and coordination, and the other one is social and urban initiatives. So there's a lot of things to do in Brussels specifically. So just to name a few, that came up. There was a neighborhood noise alert app where you kind of like have a proximity alert, and it's not personalized, but it really goes very wide. For if you sign up, you will see if someone in your area is complaining, and that's something that was very relevant for the Commons Hub. Community ID aggregation and voting came up. One that I really also loved was holding government officials accountable. So if they commit to doing something, we could log it on chain and then actually hold people accountable and see if they executed on the proposals they made and what the progress is. So building some sort of visibility for what politicians are doing and committing to. Another one that I really loved was building a mesh Wi-Fi network for Brussels, so that if at some point we are in a situation, for example, as in Iran, that I hope this will not happen anytime soon, but we are in the center of Europe. If something goes wrong, I do also believe that we should be able to communicate when the internet goes down. And we are all, really leaning on very centralized solutions, but we all have routers in our house. Berlin has a great solution set up for a Wi-Fi network, which is called Freifunk Berlin. And this is something that we could get in contact with them and see if we can like deploy this in Brussels as well. So these were some of the digital solutions. When it comes to urban initiatives, things came up like litter reduction. That's like a very big one. We also have a great initiative that's been existing for years called a local currency called the Zinne. And the Commons Hub has already been creating some initiatives called Citizen Wallet, Brussels Pay. And so scaling this and really getting more vendors to sign up to this is something that is very alive as well. Other fun things like anger release circles, small scale urban interventions came up, food waste reduction. So a lot of things. So a lot of things came up, a lot of energy. The thing is that almost all of the volunteers or all the people who were in the room are already volunteering so much. So at this point, they could not commit to really leading a circle. So this is where we're at. Especially the most technical profiles, they said that they were already so full and so busy that at this moment they cannot commit to attend, but they want to be kept in the loop. So it's kind of unclear right now if the Brussels Circle will be able to continue. I would love to be the steward for the Brussels Circle, but I will also still figuring out if I can combine this with my role at Logos. But I would love to. I think Amelia is also pulling it off to stay involved in both. So it is a great way to really see what works and what doesn't work. So in the post, I wrote a whole lot what I saw that worked well and didn't work well. But maybe that would lead us too far. So I could always go into this if there's more time, but I'll stop for now. This is a quick update of how it went.
Chris, thanks so much. It sounds like the meeting went really well. I think we could actually take a beat here and maybe have a discussion around a couple of these points that you mentioned, because there's a couple of them, at least personally, that I feel like we have really good ways to address. So the technical point, I think that one is the more obvious one, that we do have the interoperability piece. But the second point about how are we going to scale this community, especially as it seems or appears like we're going so broad with the winnable issues. And I bet Amelia has a lot of thoughts on this too, but my gut reaction is that this really is a decentralized movement. It's like the onus is not strictly on us to work with to like fully understand each of these issues. It's up to the local communities to understand and grapple with their local issues, and the work, really the elbow grease that's being put into it is on them, right, and on their work. But we're here to provide people support. So the reality is we're and technological support, of course. So people and technology, and and focusing on the grassroots component of it, I think, is really the primary key that helps us scale this. And then the rest of it is like the experts of a particular topic or local issue are those local communities, because it almost sounds like if somebody makes the case that we're trying to go too broad, it almost makes it seem like we're trying to be the owners of all of these different issues and also be the controllers of these communities, which would of course be inaccurate at best. So anyway, just a couple of thoughts on that. I do see that perspective, how it could appear from the outside looking in like that's the case, but certainly not the case.
Yeah, no, that's definitely also what I gave as feedback. There were a lot of questions like, "But what is Logos and who is funding this? Who is behind this?" And I was like, "Guys, it's like we're not recruiting you to work for Logos. Logos wants to work for you. So this is a very important thing here. We are here in service of you. This is what Logos is all about. We want to help you support to create a parallel society. We want to be a support network in any way that we can. So that message definitely came through, and they were for sure inspired by this. But they did have the valid feedback, I think, where they were like, okay, but we already have a number of networks. We have so many initiatives. Like, do we need the support actually of Logos? What does Logos have? In what way will Logos be able to help here? And it's the thing that you just said, we will be able to support with expertise, with tech support, but also, also with our community. And that's the thing that I'm also here to help with, of course, with the rest of the team, with Amelia and everyone else. But we are building a sort of open system. So we're using an open source system called Civi CRM, with which we want to connect all of the different volunteering groups and all the different circles in the various countries, so that we really can support that people can reach out to circles in other countries and can learn from what they have been learning. So we really want to create this network in between countries and in between cities. So they were really enthusiastic about this for sure. But at the same time, and that's also in my post, is the reminder that there are already like amazing networks that exist. So we should definitely join forces with them. The one that came up in the context of the Commons Hub, that is a community hub in Brussels, was that we are part of Hubs Network, and Hubs Network is recruiting more value-aligned networks that exist. And like if you see the homepage from Hubs Network, I think, yeah, it's hubsnetwork.org. It is actually the messaging that is on it is basically, for me, this is Logos. So just to read the headline, it's collaborative network for social impact that creates and connects multidisciplinary spaces that act and sets impulses to reinvent society futures. So I'm like, yes, that's us. So organizations like this, we should join forces with them, and I will definitely actively research and see how we could do that in the future.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And it sounds like you had a really nice response to the feedback that you received, Chris, and I wholeheartedly agree with your answer. I was going to field some other thoughts on what you had to say before we move on to the next updates. Amelia, I figured you might have had some thoughts on this. Got to have to pick on you a little bit.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, Chris and I spoke about this for quite a while, I guess last week, after the event happened. And yeah, so kind of the guidance we give for Circle Stewards right now is we share the set of Logos values and principles that have guided what Jared and Carl have built even pre-Logos back in the status days. So these are our principles of decentralization, privacy, resourcefulness, and kind of when we're looking at, well, is this issue a winnable issue that kind of aligns with Logos? Can we work on this? what the guidance that we give is, well, revert back to those principles. If you're building something related to technology, make sure that it's open source, that it's private. If the Logos doesn't have the tools readily available for you to use, because of course we're waiting to go and testnet with the blockchain this year as well as the storage layer, then it would be a case of even the Logos team helping you finding existing solutions that can help meet these values and principles while the Logos tech stack is being built. Um, so yeah, the other side of that is I could have mentioned this at the beginning, but we're actually starting to hold open office hours with the Logos Eco Dev team. So Václav's going to be holding the first of those meetings this Friday, and I think this is pretty critical to us, not just for being able to help scope out these winnable issues that pop up from Circle stewards and seeing how logos could be used for them. But also, we have lots of stewards like myself who are not super technical, and we can't always speak on the same level and answer the questions that developers coming into Circles have. So having these office hours and having kind of this point of bringing developers and technical people together, I think is going to be critical for us kind of preparing for Logos's official launch, we can say. Yeah, and then I was going to say something else about winnable issues, but it's lost now, unfortunately.
No, really valid point, Amelia. Thanks for adding some additional information to that. I do want to mention too, for those of you guys who are in the space and also maybe a little bit new, I know we use this term. It sounds almost like bureaucratic or like a stiff neck tie, this winnable issue idea. But all the winnable issue is a challenge or a shortcoming in a community that people feel intense emotions about that can be rectified through community organization. And what this ultimately is about, it's about retooling civic society, right? Within the context of these communities, bringing agency back into those communities where governments and corporations and other institutions have failed, right? And the reason why this is what Logos is doing is so tremendously popular already and growing is because these institutional failures aren't just isolated to one given community. These institutional failures represent a an evolving system of failures across the globe, right? So this is why these are able to spring up and why people are becoming so passionate and interested in solving these problems, these quote unquote winnable issues in these communities. Yeah, Amelia?
Yeah, thank you for explaining winnable issues again. I forget that we probably should iterate that a lot, right? Because it's not a term that we made up, but it's not super commonly used. It's more of a term that exists in activism. But yeah, I was going to also just add to the feedback that Chris got about if everything is so disjointed and everyone's working on different things, what brings everyone together? What kind of makes us this movement? And part of what we've been discussing as a team is the benefit of having circles right now and embedding ourselves into these local communities, into local issues that I mean, what people are looking at is so broad. It's anything from the housing crisis, mental health crisis, um, like having this time before the Logos full tech stack is in production. Imagine this is, I guess a kind of market research for use cases that people in communities actually need. So we have all of this time to gather knowledge and build relationships and understand what communities actually need. Like Girl, for example, working with this community of domestic violence survivors, we have the time to figure out how we can best serve them using this technology. And so I think next year, it will be much more apparent how circles are all kind of working together and we're swimming down the same stream, because I think issues will be more technical by then as kind of circles further evolve.
Yeah, that's a really nice way to put it because ultimately these issues as they emerge, as we continue to work on them, the individuals in the community continue to work on them and they continue to figure out what all the different pain points into solving those issues are. Now we can also start to uncover or unearth a Logos technical solution for those problems. And I do want to remind everyone here, and I think it's important that we mention this. And Amelia did talk about it and touch on the principles that Logos harbor. Ultimately, this whole movement is really based in an underlying cypherpunk or crypto anarchist kind of initiative where we're really trying to help protect people from surveillance, from different forms of attack, from these institutional failures that result in various kinds of harms being distributed across these communities in ways that are tremendously difficult to solve. So I think it's really important that we understand the vision and the visionary status of this whole movement, right? And there's also another way to think about this. When we think about activism, I think a lot of minds immediately go to thinking about Gandhi, right? And Gandhi had this idea called satyagraha, and satyagraha just means peace force or peace resistance, where you work on some type of issue, you see that there's a problem, whether that issue represents some kind of violation or some kind of force. You're there with your community to peacefully resolve that by being there, by being present, and by working toward a solution in a peaceful manner. And I really like that idea, and I've mentioned that a couple of times in spaces. So, and if you had any last thoughts here, Amelia or Chris, and then we can move on to the next folks. But I really enjoyed, Chris, your articulation of the concerns that folks in the community at Brussels had, and it's good so we can address those. That's what this space is for, I think, to be able to address issues that come up, and also to address feedback and to recognize that there is valuable feedback that comes from these communities that helps us get better as we move forward.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's great to get the feedback, and yeah, I shared it to you in a DM, Sterling. Maybe you could put the link on the jumbotron of the forum post. If people have thoughts on it, like very welcome. I also added a lot of things there on how we can reach more people in Brussels. We have the honor to have been without a government for 600 days. So like we have a federal government, but we also have a Brussels government, and well, we haven't had one for 2 years. So there's a lot to do. So if you know people who are interested to join a Brussels Circle, please reach out. And yeah, I'm also going to look into how we, for a next edition, how we can reach more people who are not just part of the Commons Hub, but are very interested, because I know there's a lot of people who want to change things, and we need to really reach those people. There's so many people who are filled with energy to make the world a better place, and we need to connect these activists with the reach that we can bring, and with the support and energy that we can bring as well. So yeah, looking forward to what comes next for Brussels. I think there's a lot to do here.
Beautiful. Yep. One last thing that I'll mention too. By the way, your links, I put those in the chat, or underneath the space, and then I shared them to the Megatron. Sometimes the Megatron glitches because I can't see what actually gets put up there, but hopefully you guys should be able to click in and review the links that Chris provided here. I do think overall this is going to continue to be a massive community effort in order to grow these local initiatives, and all of us involved in talking about these ideas is going to continue to spur momentum. So we definitely should keep pushing forward. There was another thought, but I think I've lost it. It'll come back. This happens. Okay, cool. So let's move along. I think, Amelia, your hand's up, but I'm assuming that's a glitched hand. Speaking of glitches.
Yeah, it always does this. I don't know why. I'll try throwing it back up and down again. I have nothing more to add for now.
Imagine being in the classroom and you have your hand raised and you just can't put it. You just stays up in perpetuity. Man, I love it. Okay. All right. So let's move along now. We have a chair or M, I think, up here right now. So whichever one of you guys wants to go first, by all means.
Go for it.
All right, thank you, Chair. Hi, everyone. Just wanted to say that I'm glad that I was invited for um, the Lisbon Parallel Societies event. First time that I'm going to Portugal, and first time I'm going to another event outside of Barcelona. So thank you so much for sharing the details with me, and having so much attention and like every single step that I took. I have never reserved flight tickets before, so for being the first time, it was a huge W. So yeah, thank you so much, Amelia, and thank you all, guys.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to meeting you and seeing you at PS. Amelia, I think you unmuted as well, maybe.
I didn't, but yeah, I'm very, very excited to meet you, IRLM, and all of the stewards. I think we have about 70% of stewards so far have been able to confirm they are coming. So I think it's just going to be amazing to get everyone together in Lisbon. We've got some training sessions planned with Dr. Goman and I, kind of training around winnable issues, the roadmap. And yeah, just fingers crossed that a lot of the stewards that are waiting for their visas can get their visas in time, because it's kind of crunch time now. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, indeed. Hopefully, everyone's able to grab their visas and get everything squared away. By the way, I actually remembered what I was going to say. So, Chris, you had mentioned earlier too when you were speaking on this being a community effort. When we say community, we don't just mean the Logos community. The Logos community is like our primary focus, of course, because developing this initiative is a Logos initiative. But there's a lot of people in the quote unquote Web3 space and parallel society space that are working on similar initiatives. And so this is really what PS is about, right? Bringing these different kind of communities that are ultimately one large community, like under one large umbrella together to work technologically, socially, and culturally to solving some of the most profound issues and problematic issues of our times. So we're very much 100%, and I even want to use the term aggressively working with our partners and our friends and our allies in this space to resolve these issues. This is why, like at PS, we have all of our friends from, say, DarkFi, right? Amir and Rose coming to give talks and give workshops and talk about their tech. And as a result of this, we're able to figure out ways that we can cross pollinate, ways that we can work together, develop technology and tools together in order to engender a stronger community ethos, a stronger community support network, which also ultimately plays back into these local initiatives, right? It is also why you guys are familiar with Aaron Day, right? Who came onto our space. He's working on several different platforms, a very strong anti-surveillance personality and an overall good guy. He's going to be there giving presentations and talks. So we have all these community members that are in the orbit of Logos or the Logos network, and dare I say they are just part of the Logos community, working towards solving these problems and inspiring people to work in their communities to solve these quote unquote winnable issues in these areas. So that's what I was going to mention earlier. I had forgotten. That's really important. I think this is all relates back to this global effort toward like a regenerative commons, toward a regenerative hubs, toward cypherpunk hubs, toward crypto anarchist hubs, toward activist hubs. That's all what this is building towards, right? Cool, Chair. I think you're up now, my friend. Chopping block is you're on it.
Hello, everyone. Logos is the convergence point. All those different roads lead to Logos. Shout out to the single anonymous listener we had in the grease trap, but I think they're gone now. Alas. Oh, nope. Two in there now. What's up, folks? Personal note. All right, I'm gonna make you all sad now. My cat was euthanized yesterday. We had to euthanize our family cat. It was very sad. It was hard on the entire family. It was a very sweet boy. And in honor of him, I will now ask, not for a moment of silence, I ask that everyone like and retweet the first pinned tweet in the Jumbotron. It is of this space, or click the plus sign at the bottom right corner and post it yourself. This is what a good Logos community member does. The next LA Circle is Tuesday, February 17th. The location will be announced. It will be in downtown as per usual, mostly. If it's not on the west side, it's in downtown and sometimes Claremont, and that's how things go. They're all 10 freeway adjacent. Speaking of, I scared the anonymous listeners away. Speaking of good community members, there is a Logos Network YouTube channel. You should subscribe to it. You should turn notifications on for it. This very space is now being broadcast on that YouTube channel. We are expanding the platforms that we are on because I don't expect it to be a completely non-turbulent flight, if you know what I mean. So the more Logos accounts across different platforms that you can be subscribed to and aware of, the better. And the best thing is to go to logos.co/takeaction, sign up to all of the lists so you can be kept abreast and the first to know of anything that is worthy of knowing. Do you understand? Great. This Friday is the first office hours featuring Václav. And technical or non-technical, I encourage you to come if you are interested, especially if you are technical and interested in running nodes and other Logos Tech, integrating Logos Tech into something, using Logos Tech. That is this Friday. And another point, generally, this circle right now is the online circle, literally. It's an actual thing. And if you consider yourself an online circle member, you should be turning notifications on for all Logos accounts, engaging with all of the Logos accounts, choosing status as your platform of choice. When the time comes, you will be running nodes, you will be nimble, you will be quick, and you can do whatever you want with the candlestick. That being said, it's a lot of repeat for me until we have our next LA session. We are looking to actually build a coordination app with all of the primitives, or many of the primitives that will be sort of required in other Logos apps. We want to try to start solving things like login authentication, proof of humanity, things of this nature, so that those those challenges can be toppled for the following apps. We had recently, I think maybe 2 weeks ago now, we did a little online session trying to get the Logos blockchain nodes running. Some had more success than others. I was able to run one locally. So there. And things have progressed since then as I check in on that repo. So I think we'll be doing another one of those shortly. But TLDR, February 17th, Tuesday, downtown LA, if you are in the Southern California area. And I would say the cutoff, if you're to the south, is right around San Clemente. I don't expect you to come if you're further south from there, but if you aren't, well, it's the 5 north to the 405. I'll see you there. Otherwise, the northern border, what is the northern border? I'll call it Tahunga. To the east, San Bernardino. Temecula to the southeast. If you're anywhere within that perimeter, I expect to see you downtown on Tuesday. That's all I have at the moment. Are there any questions? His name was Tigger. My cat's name was Tigger. He was an orange Bengal cat. He was a very good boy. I'll be posting a lot of pictures of him soon.
May he rest in peace, my friend.
No, we don't have to do an actual moment of silence, but I do ask everyone to share this space immediately. Immediately. A lot of new faces in the crowd as well. That is very cool to see.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if, before I'm going to let you guys, by the way, if there's any other comments or anything that we might have missed regarding the logo circles, if there's any other logo circles leads or community members who want to come up and add any kind of information they can. But maybe it's not a bad idea. We can take the time to break down what we're doing here, but we can do it more briefly or with the higher level salient points. But however we go about it is fine. I do want to continue to invite you guys to come up and chat whenever you want. Also, taking chairs, recommendation and advice, please share this conversation, this X Space online via your profile, because it does help us get this word out. We're trying to invigorate these communities. And I think there's probably even more people, even within the context of Web3, that knew if there were things that they could do locally and really engage their activist muscles, they would probably be more than happy to join the cause and to be part of this, especially if they already have some acumen in Web3 and in blockchain, right? Because that's just all related to what we're working on. Cool. So if right now is a good chance for you guys to, we have Girl on the stage. I see Girl as a listener. Man, I hate how glitchy this platform is.
I think I'm on. Maybe I'm on.
Yeah,
Am I on?
you're here. It shows you as a listener on my screen, which now it shows you. Cool, it works. All right, Girl, welcome.
Hey,
Welcome.
Hi everyone. Our next circle in Porto at The House in Peninsula is on the 19th of February, and this week for me has been, which I think might be an interesting topic, I'm finding it difficult knowing the line between convincing people to join and hoping that people will have the conviction to help the cause, being building a digital escape egress app, which I think is feeling more important than ever, and not just for victims of domestic abuse, actually for lots of people that find themselves displaced due to a I don't know, I always wonder, am I allowed to swear? Can I swear? But due to,
Absolutely,
okay,
absolutely, you can.
shitty bloody reasons. I'm coming in. I am so fired up, everyone. What's good about being fired up is having a space like Logos, like being able to come here and talk about it, for me, and I think for all of you and for those around you, anyone that has experienced any kind of abuse, watching the Epstein files and everything that is going on there is quite literally, I mean, I'm showing my teeth. I am furious. And this is also why, for example, the court in Porto is so important, like building this up. And this might align with what you're saying, Chris, but like, this is it. Like, for me, to be able to, I came to Logos with the idea, and then the view, I didn't realize that you guys had so many different circles all around the world. Well, then wicked, we can roll this out and get a global way of helping people that are displaced because of whatever reason that may be. And for them just to be able to log in and have someone there as part of a support going, it's cool, we've got you, like, yeah, victims of domestic abuse or whatever, yeah, I'm fired up, guys. I'm fired up. So with this in mind and all of my fire, I'm bringing it to Parallel Society. And so I've been thinking about it, and it's difficult because now you're part of the circle. I feel responsible not to bring my stuff into it and my ego, and I don't want to convince anyone that domestic abuse is wrong. I don't feel I should have to. Do you see what I mean? And so it's like, am I standing in my conviction to onboard people? And then, yeah, so it's an interesting thing. But I think that's why these circles are important, because you have these moments and then you look around and like there are people in all sorts of countries all over the world having the conviction and standing in the integrity of being a human. And look, I am really on my soapbox, but that is what is important. And however you come into circles, however you get to know Logos, whether it is because of the privacy being so important, a piece of tech, like for me, it was, your status. That's what got me in. And I am not tech at all, but it made sense. And I just think that's all. I don't know. I'm going off on one. Fired up, guys. Make use of me. I've got so much energy to burn. Can I help anyone? But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I've been working out what the messaging should be at Parallel Society. Convincing, but also more conviction, ready to do an installation. So trying to get people. And if you all haven't followed along, signed up to get a domestic violence disclosure scheme in every country in Europe, please do. We have links to that. If you know anybody that is in a really shitty situation and just wants to come and be supported, is feeling majorly overwhelmed by what we're seeing with the Epstein files, put them in touch, please. Yes, and that's it. Other than
Thank
that,
you. I've sent you a comment on your latest post, because if you are fired up, full of energy, this enthusiasm is contagious. It's like, of course, this is a limited medium, voice only, but hey, you can feel it, and your passion is like on fire.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, yeah, thank you. We're doing it. I don't know. I feel like we all need like some sort of chant, everyone. But like after we get off, it's like, we're doing it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so we all know. Thank you, Mars. I appreciate that. Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to seeing you all at Parallel Society. And God, let's have it. Well, that's what I'd say in English, but I don't know. You know what I mean? We're doing it. We're doing it. Anyway, goodbye for now. See you soon. Thank you.
Girl, good shit. And don't worry, yes, you can absolutely swear anytime here. I promise you, there will be no censorship.
Thank fuck for that,
Oh,
Sterling.
Jesus. I love it so much. Yeah, thank you for your work. We're going to continue.
Oh, pleasure.
We'll continue to ramp it up, especially the energy and the juice that you have completely brought into the space. I love it so much. Again, really looking forward to meeting you in person at Parallel Society. And by the way, if you guys have not claimed your tickets, we do recommend going over to ps.logos.co, grabbing your tickets, booking your flight, coming out to PS, wherever you're from in the world, and engaging with this very amazing community, and be really on the cutting edge and the front lines of creating global coordinated change all around the world. This is part, I hate the term has almost become a bit cliche, but this really is about creating a paradigm shift of epic proportions all around the world. And we're really on the front lines of being able to do this, right? It's not just about Web3 and blockchain and all the buzzwords that we're dredging up, right? It's what it's really about is the people getting together and, yes, leveraging the technology and creating an infrastructure and network of people who work together to create change. And the technology is a very critical part of this, but it's really the catalyst of the people that helps bring the technology and the culture and the ideas to more people around the world. And I think that's vital. Cool. We do have, okay, so a couple of folks have come up, some new faces in the space. I do want to remind everybody, and this goes without saying, and it's not a personal affront to anyone. Anybody who comes up, please, let's just make sure we keep the content and the information that you share topical and relevant. That's just an etiquette thing. Other than that, again, we welcome anybody to come up and speak on these topics, especially if you're interested in ever booting up a circle. So we have AG and we have Mars on the stage. I think Mars was up first, so I'm going to go ahead and let you speak. Welcome to the stage.
Yes, thank you very, very much. I was always, ever since I remember, pro freedom, pro liberty, pro alternatives. I got my Estonia e-citizenship 2015, more than 10 years ago. I have my Liberland passport. So in terms of this new network states, new alternative solutions, I was always adjacent and around. So right now I'm just listening, learning, networking, connecting, seeing what you are up to. And it seems to me like there's like serious critical mass going on. There was a mention of an Epstein files, but hey, look, this was in the making for many decades. And now we are at this like a tipping point where people are waking up, where AI is taking over, replacing loads of jobs. Many people will need to find a new purpose in this new version of the reality. So yeah, I was always this early adopter, innovator, staying ahead of the curve. So that's why I am here participating, sharing some of these observations. And what I do loads of generative AI. My old job in IT as a web developer, software guy is just I'm not competitive enough, but instead I make phenomenal AI artworks, images and content that lives in your head rent free. So if you need any fancy designs, animated GIFs, I'm your guy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mars. Really, really appreciate you coming up. And absolutely, we need all the folks that we can get. And you're right. Many more people are waking up. I think all these knowledge brokers around the world, digital nomads, people who have also felt like they haven't had a kind of rootedness to a place that they can call home, are finding new homes in these communities that have an activist spirit, but also have close connections to each other. And also there's an element of like rekindling a connection with nature. And I think we're also seeing this in some of the circles that are actually cropping up around the world. This is part of that regenerative movement that is at least running in parallel with what we're working on also. Cool. So we have AG up to the stage. Welcome, AG, my friend.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me on board. I'm told me to come jump over here and just really interested in what's going on with other privacy projects in the place. I'm actually building a privacy project at the moment that is EVM based that stays completely on chain. We use the Nagelfar kind of process to privacy engine to keep everything on chain and do things in a mathematical kind of uh, different place. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to figure out who's building the space and just want to help and support anybody that I can.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, I think you're working on privacy tooling, so you're definitely going to find a home here. Happy to connect you through the Logos network. We can put you in contact with folks that are on the engineering and the development side of the Logos network, and perhaps there's ways that we can help you and you can help us, and we just continue to build out the technological infrastructure that we need to build, my friend. So welcome to the community. Cool. So I think right now is a good, it's perfect. It's just straight up. We've been going for 1 hour, notwithstanding the 5 minutes of poorly executed elevator music that X nicely hands down to us. That's a default template. But it's been an amazing space. I really appreciate all you guys that have come here. Oh, I think we're going to probably go for about another 30 minutes. We have a good room for discussion on a variety of different topics. So if there's anything that anyone on the stage is particularly passionate about discussing, it can be anything from technology to philosophy to activism, whatever is relevant to you. It's especially helpful if it's related to logo circles and a logo circle initiative. That's great as well. But we definitely are open to keeping the conversation moving in whatever direction that the community wants it to move. As Chair mentioned earlier, please do share the space, post it on your feed, let people know that we're doing that. We do this space every Tuesday, by the way, at this same time. And then we do also a guest featured space on Thursday. And by the way, this Thursday, I'll give you guys a little bit of a little tidbit of news. We have some of our coalition partners from PS coming on the space on Thursday. It's the New Economy Institute and Charter Cities Institute. So we have a big brain space with some think tanks. So we're going to really unpack different aspects of parallel societies, what it looks like to engineer parallel societies, different components of that. I'm going to be very curious to ask them and to talk about what their privacy concerns are, about what their quote unquote legal engineering looks like. My personal sentiment is like developing this from the bottom up without having to worry as much about legal infrastructure is the way that we would want to ultimately go, right? Because we're trying not to play at the big boys table. And I think that's one of the key motivating pieces behind why I'm here personally at Logos. And I know that a lot of you guys who are like OG cypherpunks and crypto anarchists are also here from that. And sorry about that. It feels like my voice is trying to go at this point. Anyway, so really opening up the stage here for what you guys want to talk about or discuss relevant to Logos mission and vision. Sweet. So some good news here. Alisher has Alisher, who's a really amazing member of the community and part of the Logos core contributor team, has come up. So I'm gonna let Alisher have the stage as soon as he gets up here. Welcome, Alisher. If you can hear me, sometimes it glitches and I can't actually see you. So hopefully you're here.
Oh no. Can someone hear Alisher?
Nope.
Okay, maybe now hear me.
There you are.
Yeah. Hi, friends. So I want to have your opinions on one idea about logo circles. So as far as I hear, as I see, most of logo circles are around like local people who local to like the certain area, to a certain city. I based in Spain right now, but I'm kind of digital nomad that like for now based in Valencia and have my family and have my friends. And we have a community that not like originally local. It's people from mostly East Europe, big Russian speaking community from all kinds of countries. And yeah, I'm sharing a lot about circles on our parties and about on our gatherings. So a lot of people read book Farewell to Westphalia. So I'm sharing information and asking about. I'm trying to understand what is the problem that we can solve if we'll have a logo circle here in Valencia, and like different kind of logo circle for digital nomads, for people who sometimes appear here with their will, sometimes because of the war, sometimes because of the different views on political situation, because they left like Russia because of situation in Russia or some other countries. And so far as I understand, there is something, and it's more about onboarding people to life in Spain, because they come here and they don't know where to get like a good doctor or lawyer, or they don't understand some laws in Spain, or they just don't have anything, don't have peers, don't have sometimes don't have money, and we help each other. But I'm thinking, do anyone see possibility for Logos Circle and for Logos Tech and for our superpower somehow to find something, some winnable issues for this Logos to exist? Logos Circle, yeah.
So, Alisher, just to make sure that everybody is clear, you're curious about finding, or what can you do to find a winnable issue for this community? And there also seems to be a bit of a concern around a lot of the folks who may want to join this circle are not necessarily from that geographical area, even though they may be considered now locals because they posted up shop as a digital nomad. Am I understanding you correctly as well?
Yeah. So our community, some kind of fluid community. So we have people in and out, but yeah. So I uh, see that Logos values and like the whole Farewell of Westphalia context is resonating with those people. But it will be, I expect that this logo circle can be a bit different from logo circles that we already have. And I'm curious how you see is this kind of logo circles can take place and be productive and yeah. So I'll say I like in one step from saying okay, let's do it. So we already have a place and we have a people. So I just want to have more feedback in understanding how to arrange all of this.
Absolutely. I can give you a few thoughts. Then maybe it will also be good when Amelia gets back, we can connect you through to her. She probably has even more experience with this particular area, but I'll just give you a few of my considerations. Like, I think a lot of the logo circles that even already exist, sans maybe like some of them, or like the one in the US with Chair, and I'm not sure, he may have a different thought on this, but I think a lot of these circles probably do. Okay, so Amelia's here. I'm going to finish this thought and then I'll let Amelia give you some info. I do think that probably a lot of the circles that we already have, especially in places that are more accustomed to having digital nomads, probably do have either itinerant people who are traveling a lot or moving around, but who are also looking at an area maybe because they like it, they feel at home there, they feel like it's a place that they could eventually form a rootedness. I think that if you care about the location and you care about the people and you care about the culture, that's probably right there good enough to boot up a circle, as long as you recognize what those issues are and you work with that community and the local group to discover them. I think that is all perfectly fine and acceptable. I do think there's probably some discussion with more embedded locals that definitely needs to occur, right? Because integration with the local locals is, I can't underscore how important that is. And just from my work at Logos and then just being in the space and traveling so much, I've seen that there's a lot of parallel societies, quote unquote, that have cropped up that don't take care of their local communities or that don't actually try to integrate. And it looks more like a technocratic, top-down regime is trying to take over that place. So involving the locals, I think, is one of the key components to developing a good, strong activist community and network in those locations. So, but having itinerant people, travelers, digital nomads, I think that's going to be all part of this process because that's just so many people now, right? Amelia, you might have some additional thoughts.
Yeah, I'll keep it super brief because I had to step outside with my dog. He was trying to get outside and we're in the middle of a storm here. So I'll keep it brief, but yeah, I completely agree with all of your points, Sterling. But in general, for local circles, we don't necessarily have to find winnable issues that are serving native people to the country. So if you're hosting a circle somewhere in a Spanish city, it doesn't necessarily have to be a specifically Spanish issue. Or for Spaniards, I should say. I think actually it's quite interesting to start a circle, as you're saying, around this concept of serving the Russian-speaking diaspora that exists in Spain, because yeah, they're also a member of the community, and I think in Lisbon, we actually had some members of the Belarusian diaspora who were discussing different solutions that they had for onboarding the community into kind of local services in Lisbon, helping them, like you say, get access to good local doctors and lawyers, and also finding local businesses that they could support. So yeah, just on principle, I really think that works as a winnable issue, but. It's an important point as well, though, Sterling, as you mentioned, it's not about becoming a technocratic parallel community. It's about kind of helping the Russian-speaking diaspora embed themselves into the Spanish community.
Yeah, 100. And also to add to what Amelia said, each city or each area or geographical territory where these circles operate, there doesn't just have to be one circle, right? There could be other communities that have a different issue that's more important to them that they could want to solve. So you could actually be a jumping off point, right, for other communities, like within the community, to start up a circle initiative toward an issue that really suits their particular needs. So those different people are probably attracted to different circles for different reasons, right? This is just like any kind of organization or club that already exists, which unfortunately have been seeing a decline in recent years. But even in these organizations, people gravitate toward ones that suit their needs. For instance, I'll just give you an example of this. I'm a huge fan of Toastmasters, right? Toastmasters is an international organization that teaches people how to do public speaking, hone your leadership skills, those kind of things. And I've joined a couple of different ones in different cities. And there was only one of them that I really liked and I gravitated toward time and time again. And when I traveled to this particular location, I would go to this one because I resonated more with the people and their values, and their culture. So I think there is that component of culture building and sharing certain kind of values that creates a unique kind of environment that really is allowed to excel in whatever area that it's focused on or whatever unique kind of challenge it's trying to tackle. And in case of circles, maybe there's a winnable issue with a particular circle's community that some people will tend to gravitate more strongly to, whereas other people might be interested in another one. So I think this is part of it, right? We all have our own needs and our own values and our own ideas on what needs solved. So we should gravitate personally to those circles or those communities that want to solve those issues. Hopefully that helps, Alice, or at least get you started.
Yeah. Thanks, Sterling. Yeah, now I have better coordinates for that what I'm about to do. So yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely, and logistically, and of course, anything else that you need assistance with, we're going to be more than happy to help you, my friend. Cool. So, if Alisher, if there's anything else you want to discuss, you're more than happy to. We still have several people up here who have the speaker title and the speaker privilege, which is one of those privileges that I really like to have. They say privilege is bad, right? Modern society. I think having the speaker privilege is a really good kind of privilege. That we are privileged, my friends. Okay. So again, anybody else who wants to come up and chat, more than welcome. We can take the conversation anywhere. There are certainly some different issues that I personally am attracted to and love to talk about. And maybe unless there's any pressing or burning issues, one thing that we can get into talking about more that I'm really excited about, Girl talked quite a bit about it, is, and I think a few other folks mentioned it, is Parallel Society event that's up and coming. I want to just give a props to Lou and her work. Almost single-handedly helped cultivate the initial setting and then build up all of the people infrastructure around Parallel Society to make this event what it is going to be. And what it's looking like to me is that this is going to be an amazing event. We have definitely a full setup of speakers for that first day of the unconference, and of course we have a lot of organizations and institutions that are going to be showcasing their work, conducting workshops, getting people together to cross collaborate on different kind of technologies and have different types of technological impact. I just think it's going to be an amazing event. This is structured differently than the first Parallel Society that we had, and this one is definitely going to be more true to our roots as an organization and our goals, especially as they hinge on like the crypto anarchists and the cypherpunk value set that all of us here tend to gravitate to and represent. So anyway, if we can talk more about that if you guys want, or if there's any other conversation or direction you guys want to take it, I'm happy to field that.
You know what? Meta crisis, climate change, the alternative to the default option. The default option is there's the Western world order, the Pax Americana, the US being the sheriff on the global theater. But then Davos, the World Economic Forum, coined the term multipolar world order. So I see Logos and the parallel society movement as yet another alternative to the multipolar world order. That this infrastructure that we have with identity, with communication protocols on Twitter Spaces, YouTube, Discord, discourse, status, like this is an infrastructure that is resilient. Of course, if someone puts really serious effort, it could be shut down or slowed down. But it seems to me like this is a very resilient, decentralized infrastructure. So my point is that meta crisis and climate change is happening. However, as we are building a viable alternative, so I'm always happy to just participate, co-create, and just share these ideas.
Okay, I'm really glad that you brought these topics up, Mars, because these are topics that are near and dear to my heart. And we've actually had a lot of discussions in the past on our spaces about the meta crisis, or what some people refer to as a poly crisis. And certainly what Logos is working on, even if it's not always explicitly in our messaging, it's in my personal messaging. I think being able to deploy this kind of technology and give people optionality for new kind of governance applications is at least a part of helping address different aspects of the meta crisis or the poly crisis. Just briefly, for anybody who's not familiar with that terminology, let me describe this or define it, because Mars mentioned it. It is important. I think it's worth referencing, and then we can get into more details if you want. So the meta crisis or the poly crisis, and let's use the term poly crisis. I tend to personally prefer that one. It's not just that we're beset as a species by multiple different crisis scenarios that could represent an extinction level event, right? So one that Mars mentioned is potential climatological change. We also have threats from super intelligent machines, right? Artificial superintelligence. We have issues around the governance crisis, which is particularly what Logos focuses on. John Vervaeke has also articulated a meaning crisis that we're embedded in, where rates of mental illness, suicidality, alienation, isolation are all on the rise and reaching epidemic proportions. We have issues with like oceanic dead zones, microplastics. We have threats from synthetic biology, the creation of potential synthetic organisms, and what Michael Levin and his team have referred to as xenomorphs or hybrids. So we have all this really radical, insane technology that is growing on an S curve, right, in an exponential fashion. We have different threats that are possibly related to anthropogenic or human-related activities. So, but get this, it's not just the fact that there's all these crisis scenarios, it's that they have cascade dynamics, right? Cascade dynamics between them, which just means that they exacerbate, right? They intensify or heighten one another, and they create different kinds of emergent effects. And one of the issues why this is difficult for us as humans to tackle and even to define precisely is because these crises they move beyond human timescales, right? Just as an example, think about oceanic microplastics. The reason that we understand that this is a problem is because we have a vast amount of sensors in the ocean that are constantly taking different measurements from the ocean, different types of readings. It's really a sensorium, right? This is what has been referred to as planetary computation by Benjamin Bratton and his team. But the idea here is that this has become a hyper object, right? It moves beyond the scope of just the human domain. But I think bringing this back to Logos and Logos circles, even, and this network, is that when we begin to deploy these different kinds of governance applications and different kind of civic coordination models for local communities to develop into eventually parallel societies, it gives us the ability to solve these problems in a very coordinated way that the traditional institutions and failing legacy institutions don't only have the energy to solve, but don't even have the interest because of governance failures, because of zero-sum games, right? Win-win, or sorry, lose-lose scenarios that are embedded in these dynamics. And you can already see the beginnings of this, even in logo circles, where we're saying, hey, let's try to solve these local winnable issues, right? And that's like target solving a particular issue, putting a tremendous amount of energy in it, potentially different forms of capital into it. The result, of course, is that a myriad of different kinds of communities can crop up all around the world, and then target solve certain kinds of issues and solve them in ways that they wouldn't typically or traditionally be able to solve them in had they just been working in an isolated fashion. So anyway, this is just some considerations on what Mars is mentioning, and I think the key here, though, or the critical idea, is that novel governance applications and different ways of retooling civic society to minimize or mitigate corruption, to change the game theoretic dimensions of society, are ways that are going to improve our ability as a species to solve some of these most vexing crisis scenarios. Now, this is thinking, of course, way further ahead than we typically are thinking within the context of logo circles, right? But you have to start somewhere, and then you move to address these problems. And this is exactly why Mars brought this up, and why people continuously bring this up, because it's so relevant to us as some issues that we're facing. And even, by the way, on local levels with these governance failures, these are just representations in these micro communities or these local levels of larger global endemic problems around human coordination issues, right? So anyway, just a few thoughts on this. We can get very deep into this and all into the weeds, but I don't want to completely bog us down. But if anybody else has any thoughts or they want to get into it as well, it can we can get actually kind of academic with this discussion. I don't know if anybody wants to go that deep.
I think this is a very timely discussion. Like, this is literally where we are in the cycles of history. I think that the meta crisis, poly crisis, multiple crises combined together are yeah, exacerbating one another, and we cannot even agree on versions of the reality. The US administration canceled climate change, which is a threat multiplier. The trust in media is at all-time low. The trust in government is in all-time low. We've seen massive maybe it isn't a bubble, maybe it's a genuine demand from the market for silver and gold. So this is the indication that the trust in the US equities, US treasury is lower because people put money into precious metals. So yeah, I am constantly just vibing where we are in the cycles of history. What can I do as an individual to play an important role? So I actually make art. The inspiration is everywhere. So I find so much inspiration with the current geopolitical theater. And yeah, Logos is one of the many alternatives. I would say this is the current zeitgeist. This is the current cycle of history, and many people think along similar lines because the reality around us is similar. So normal, intelligent people come to similar conclusions.
Yep. Brilliantly articulated, Mars. Really glad to have you on the stage and talking about these issues. So what I would love for you to come back on one of the circles spaces, and we can talk about this more at length, and we can actually focus on it one day. In the interest of time, I do want to move on to another guest, and you and I can keep the conversation going, my friend. But we have TD on the stage, and I want to give TD an opportunity to speak because we're going to have to start winding it down fairly soon. But TD, welcome to the stage. Glad to have you up here, my friend.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Yeah, just to transition to what Mars and you and yourself were saying about the meta crisis and so on, made me think of the books by Yuval Noah Harari, such as Nexus or the previous books on 21 Problems on the Century, I think it's called. And yeah, it's many problems that we I followed the Logo Circle for not so much time, and I live near Switzerland. I don't think there is a circle nearby, but there are Bitcoin meetups, a lot of Bitcoin meetups. And I was wondering if there are connections between, or try to attempt connections between Bitcoin meetups and the Logo circles.
Sorry, TD, mention that last thing you said again. So you said the Bitcoin communities and logo circles, something about a connection. I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah, no, because I am attending Bitcoin meetups nearby. That there are many in the area, in Geneva, Neuchâtel, Lausanne, but I don't think there are circles of logos nearby. And I was wondering if there was any attempt at any connection between Bitcoin meetups and the circles.
That's a good question. Maybe Amelia has some more thoughts on that. I haven't heard. I know that there are some Bitcoin community folks who have perhaps been interested, or at least they've come into our proximity, but I'm not aware of any explicit connection between a Bitcoin community booting up a logo circle. But there's probably people from the Bitcoin community who have been interested. It is difficult sometimes, and this is just my personal experience and opinion, by the way, guys, that the Bitcoin community, there's a lot of maximalists, and so people working on different technology and different blockchains or even communication networks in the space would probably strike them as an offense to Bitcoin. At least that's been my experience working in the space for a good while. But this is not to say that everyone in the Bitcoin space thinks like that. We know that there are people who want to innovate and who also want to think about other problems that we're facing in the world, and they're looking at different solutions. So we're definitely open arms welcoming to anybody who is in the Bitcoin community who wants to come in and develop a logo circle and integrate that into whatever they're working on. But I don't know of any of that have occurred. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Amelia, do we have anybody that you can think of?